Hey guys, Alicia Crook here. I'm really excited to be able to share with you this case study we did with Mina. Mina's a fabulous myotherapist from Melbourne, Australia. He started out just himself as a solo practitioner, making, $500 a week, something like that, and is now doing 8 to 10K weeks in just 9 months. Now, he's going to share with you his story of the actual steps that he did, and he's also going to be sharing with you some of the mindset shifts and beliefs and values that really had to change throughout this journey. So I'm really excited to share this with you, and I can't wait to see you at the end of the case study.
It's not just the money, but it's the journey. So I've gone from making $250 a week, pretty much, $300, $500 on a good week, to making like upwards of $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 a week now. I have my own clinic where I'm running, 4 to 5 therapists at the moment, and we're continuing to grow. We're looking at opening up our second clinic in the middle of COVID. It's just been like my financial situation. I was about 60 grand in debt. I've paid off all my credit cards, all my debts. I'm looking at buying my 5th property.
Hey, welcome, Mina. How you doing?
I'm really good, Lesh. How are you going?
Good, thank you. It is awesome to be able to connect with you today. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to hang out and have a bit of a chat about your journey. Would you like to share a bit about who you are and your business with those that are listening and watching?
Sure. So my name is Mina. I'm a myotherapist and I live in Melbourne, Victoria. So I've been myo probably for about 9 or 10 years now. As you know, I kind of shuffled between jobs and family businesses and corporate, working overseas. And, I was always kind of surrounded by business, but massage and treatment and that sort of industry has been something for me that's just always kind of brought me back. I used to work, before I started working, I wanted to be a nurse. It's initially what I thought I wanted to be. I wanted to be an anaesthetist. I did nursing for 2 years, and no, it's a great job, but just for who I am and what I wanted to do, it wasn't for me. I was still 2 years in. I quit on my first placement because I knew it just wasn't for me. I left that whole entire trade and I worked for corporate for about 8 years, which was an amazing experience. But while I was in corporate, and after I left nursing, I went straight into myotherapy and I completed that. And then I was working 8 till 4 in corporate and then 5 till 9 doing myotherapy for the last probably 6 years or so. So I think the one thing that's kind of always drawn me back is just the love and passion for helping people through energy and healing. And that's just something I just absolutely adore. So as I started to have my exit strategy with Telstra, because I was working for at the time, and joined into my business, I was doing well on my own, but I knew that I was kind of destined to do bigger and better things, but I just kind of wasn't sure how. There's so many things out there, and just with the start of Instagram and socials, that these are skills I kind of didn't really have. And I'd come across yourself, Alicia, through a mutual friend who I went back to Myo to restudy things I just wanted to pick up on the way. And one of the girls actually had done your course. She goes, "You got to check them out. They're awesome." I'm like, "Oh, nah, I've got mates that have done businesses before. I'll figure it out." Right. So I was just researching you guys for ages and ages. Because when you do the course, you'll do a few profile things with yourself and you get to learn what kind of person you are. I like to question things. I knew that. So it made sense as to why it kind of took me so long to just be okay with getting external support and not having to kind of do everything yourself. So from there, I kind of started out on my own. I was on my own probably for about 5 years or so. So I was working in soccer clubs and just hired a room out, $100 a week. And a long story short, so I know you'll question me after, but long story short, where I was making probably $300 a week, all on my own, trying to figure things out. I had no systems, I had no protocols, I had no structure. Everything was in my head and nothing was kind of professional on paper. And I think I've been with you guys September I joined you guys, and we're now July. So say 19 months. And it's been huge. It's been massive, because I've come from a space where I didn't know where I was going to like where I was going. It was like, what was going to be in between there? So I thought, you know what? You guys have shown me structure, you've shown me stability. And I thought, you know, I'm going to go in, they're going to teach you a bunch of marketing things. I'm going to know how to do Facebook ads. I'm going to know how to do all that. Give me the money. Let me make my few grand a week and then see you guys later. Not kind of how it turned out. So now I've gone, it's not just the money, but it's the journey. So I've gone from making $250 a week, pretty much, $300, $500 on a good week, to making like upwards of 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 a week now. I have my own clinic where I'm running, you know, 4 to 5 therapists at the moment, and we're continuing to grow. We're looking at opening up our second clinic in the middle of COVID. It's just been like my financial situation. I was about 60 grand in debt. I've paid off all my credit cards, all my debts. I'm looking at buying my 5th property. You know, I'm back to my debts 2 grand now. So there's just so many things that have evolved and changed as a person, as opposed to just, oh yeah, I get a business coach so I can learn some marketing stuff. So yeah.
I'm sitting here having a bit of a chuckle with a ridiculous grin on my face. And the reason that that we kind of, both of us have a bit of a chuckle about this is because when I first spoke to you, it was like, yep. No, I get the mindset stuff. Like I've done all that. And I just need the things. I just need to do the things. And that's one of my favorite lines that people give me, because I know then that there is some work to be done. And from that, everything changes. So you were courageous enough, maybe foolish, but I'll say courageous enough, to join us on what we have as a retreat week. And it was particularly a very heavy mindset weekend focus that we were running down in Geelong. And you came
never forget it.
Beautiful, beautiful wife. And I'm sure at that point you were like, why did I sign that agreement form before going? Because holy crap. Again, I thought we were talking about marketing and structure, which we 100% do. But until we get the thought processes right, the beliefs, the values right, and remove the filters that are blinding us from creating the kind of smaller results that you had in the past, we cannot put the new, exciting, fun, creative stuff in. So talk us through, what were some of your big aha moments, especially when you thought you had all of the mindset stuff nailed? What are some of the things that at the start there might have been some resistance around, but you know that is some of the foundations for how you have created these incredible results?
I was in a battle in my own head, because I came from corporate and I was a communications lead, right? So, oh shit. I was a communications lead. So when you deal with that, you're dealing with all different ages, all different emotions, personal issues, not. So I'd done my fair share of that sort of thing. And to me, I was the one everyone kind of went to, but I never had to deal with myself. That was the problem, right? So we're always good dictators, but are we good actioners, right? And for me, I kind of put myself in the back burner, because I was always okay mentally. And kind of growing up in an Egyptian family and quite a strong, strict values and cultural things. Like my dad was always like, I said this before, go figure it out. If you haven't figured it out, come see me, right? So I've always kind of had that mentality to just, it's not a bad thing, but it can be bad depending on the scenario that you're in. So when I first joined you guys, I went into like this session where everyone was just all emotional, and like you've gone through something through breakthroughs. I know that now, right? But I'm like, breakthroughs, I'm like, cool. So how do we make $5,000 a week, right? And then I was really resistant because I didn't understand, and so I didn't believe. And I was asking, like everyone I'd ask, I'm like, hey man, does this stuff work, or are we just in this, like, what's going on?
Are we doing Kool-Aid this afternoon? Like, are we doing Kool-Aid?
Yeah, I'm like, okay, when's the termination date? When can I finish? And that's how I felt. So I'm like, absolutely. You know what? I've reached out for help for a reason. These guys are doing well. I'm going to play it out for a year. I'm going to see how it goes. I never say that, right? I like to know, okay, that's the outcome. That's what's happening. This is where it's going to be. But I said, you know what? I'm the one that reached out for help. And so let's see. And even then, I think you even mentioned it to me and asked me if I was testing you guys, right? Because I was paying you guys for like 3-4 months, and I didn't even think I even reached out at all. And then we found the real issue. The start of my resistance was asking for help. So even though I agreed to it, I still went on my stubborn ways. And just, I don't know what I was waiting for, to be honest. Like, I didn't know how to kind of break out of it. And then now kind of going through the mindset barriers and you kind of living in beliefs and talking through your own mindset, not other people's. So then you can run an emotionally fueled business. You need to kind of be right. But I also had financial burdens as well. So for as long as all that mindset stuff was great, I was still in the same spot I was in. So I was still going to have that continuous stress, and to kind of break through that, I didn't really kind of see that possible. And then as I've done the retreats with you guys, just meeting like for like people has been huge. Like, yeah, I was there. Like, okay, cool. And now, like, yeah, 100 grand a year, 200 grand a year, 300 grand a year, 500,000 a year. And I'm like, okay, so obviously something works. And as I kind of got to know everyone and trust the process and actually implement what you guys ask us to do, everything changed for me in 6 months.
And that is why we do mindset first. And mindset is not, like, I think one of the things that you said so beautifully in that is that you actually had to learn about you. And it is in the relationship that we build with ourselves where everything else then flows out of, because where our focus goes, our energy flows. A business is always a reflection of our internal state. If we're living a small life, trying to do everything on our own, there's a great line in that movie about a boy, every man is an island. You know, he realizes he's not, and that he actually needs lots of other people in there to be able to help fuel. You know, we're not designed to live in isolation. We're designed to live in community. And when you find a tribe of like-minded, and I also say like-hearted people, it's okay to share, you know what, I'm having a really challenging week, or I'm actually rocking the shit out of my life and I'm freaking loving everything. I thought this is a bunch of weirdo woo-woo bollocks, and actually I've done it and it works, and check out my bank account and my no debt. Woohoo!
It's a huge lift, and it changes, like, you've been asking us to do these weekly KPI forms, and the biggest question I thought was in there, more than the rebooking rates and all that, was how are your relationships this week, right? Until now, I've got my guys on. I'm not doing the KPIs yet because I'm getting everything in order with all the business stuff. But I've been doing like a mini one with the guys around, how are your relationships through communication and through the web form as well. And it was like, oh, no one's ever really asked us about that. But everything we do is in relation to relationships.
That's right. Yeah.
Your relationship with your clients, your relationship with your family, your relationship with your friends, your relationship with your coaches, your training, everything. So if your relationships aren't well, you're not communicating what you need. And I think having that accountability week on week has allowed me to kind of, look at the big rocks, small rocks, and communicate with the people I need to do. And now I spoke to you about an early situation this morning. So if I haven't kind of like mended those relationships, my mental state is not there to run a $10,000 a week business.
Yeah. It's so true. It's like, because a business is a reflection of us. Now, business, people often say business is us. We're not our business. Our business can buy property. Our business can get sued. Our business can, go bust, all that sort of stuff. We are not our business, but a business is a reflection of us. And if the reflection is something that we're not liking, if we're not liking the results, then we have to look at us first to go, right, well, what do I need to change in here in order for that to then flow out into the world and make the difference that I was born to make? Mina, for those that are like, yeah, but you don't just sit there singing Kumbaya and make 10 grand a week. Like, this is a load of bollocks. Not that it's a load of bollocks. So for those who are maybe thinking, great, but what did you actually do? What are some of the actual things? Because you can't just get all these results with, internal reflection. So talk to us a bit about some of the strategic actions that when you started to ask for help and open up your heart and open up your mind to that and to other people, that you actually started to put in place that have changed the game for you.
This has changed the game for me, and I've even been trialing this with, say, a few of my friends that are therapists, and it's working for them, and it's pretty simple, and you need structure. Okay, so what does structure mean? Structure, you need foundation. So that means you got to start from the basics, and it's the annoying stuff you don't want to do, but without it, it's just like not having a spine into your body. So you got to look at financial. So what does that look like, right? You've got to look at marketing. What does that look like? Your business plan, your business setup, your goals, your values, your beliefs, that all needs to be cemented first, because without those foundations, you got nothing. So that's the first thing I did. So I revalued my whole entire business. I had to look at, okay, what's my mission, vision, and values? I realigned that, re-cemented that first, because if I didn't have a passion to follow, the business breaks down, right? Because that mission, vision, values is what every single worker is going to believe in. It's what your customers are going to believe in. And when you're talking through your social media about why you do what you do, this is the stuff that oozes out. And that's when it becomes believable. So that's the first thing, right? So really kind of mastering. I knew in here, but to visualize it, it wasn't there. So that's the first thing I did. Then I had a look at my accounting structure, right? So for me, money stress was a big thing. But that was my fault because I kind of didn't set things up properly. I had one bank account and then 100 things fly into it and fly out of it. It's a nightmare.
Yeah.
Right? I can look at my accounts now. I have 7 accounts, 10,000 in one, 18,000 in one, 15 grand in one, and everything knows where it is. It's a beautiful mess, right? It's perfect. So
it just works.
It just works. So that's what I did. So I had to look at my structure as a sole trader or company. Right, I had subcontractors, which shouldn't have been subcontractors. You know, I had people being paid at the wrong rates. I didn't have an actual payment system. So all these things were consuming my time. Therefore, I couldn't work in the business versus on the business. So that's the second thing I did. So I linked in with some of your accountants, with everyone that you've referred. I watched all your videos around the Champagne money system, and then I got in contact with Narelle, our HR lead, and she set me up with contracts, with health and safety. I made sure that everything was safe in terms of my structure. So that has been nailed perfect. We have signed contracts, we have agreements, everything's filed, it's professional, everyone knows. And then you've got like your scheduling. So that HR piece is really important. So you've got your mission, vision, values, you've got your financial structure, you've got your HR structure, which is in place. And then now your marketing structure, which is real. So now you're ready to onboard clients.
Yeah.
Right. And for me, I was good, but then it went from just me making money. Now it's like, and then when I came to you guys, I'm like, okay, I'm about to buy a business. And that's the thing that I did. That was the biggest differentiator. Before I jumped into a massive commitment, I said, I need the right support and I need guidance. And then I found someone who's not only a business coach, but they're involved in massage anyway. So it's like, you know, and that was a game changer. That was the biggest reason why I went with you guys.
Yeah.
Because you've got it, you've had it down pat. There's similar people in it. Like, there's no way you won't thrive.
Yeah.
So once I kind of built those structures, I was then able now to build my business. And then every single week you are there with us, and every single quarter you are there with us, and every other time you are there to kind of plan and make sure that we're executing the things. And the beautiful thing is, no matter what idea you've got, Lesh, I want to do this. Okay, no worries. Here's this video, here's that video. Let's come back. Let's check out your, like, there's an answer for everything. But that was my problem, right? I wanted to be the one I wanted to be Alicia and James, right? But once you're okay with being vulnerable, I guess, I think that's the word.
Yeah, it is. It is. Absolutely.
And accepting that, I feel like, man, a bit stubborn and a bit proud. Once that's right, my ego. Once the ego kind of, which I thought, I battled with you for a long time with that, you know, thinking, what's wrong with me? My ego's fine. I didn't kind of really know that was limiting me from expanding.
Yeah.
And from there, that's how I did it. So these are the things that I implement. Structure was the first thing. You structure in all avenues, in your HR space, in your financial space, in your accounting space, in your hiring process. in your foundations of what your business is built on, and then you can start building really, really, really comfortably. So in the last 6 months, I've gone from just me and a single clinic to a clinic in a very hot area with 4-5 therapists running. We were making like probably $600 a week. Now we're making 6,000 to 8,000, 9,000 a week. Figures I didn't even think was possible. And the clinic can run without me having to be hands deep in it. I work 4 days a week now. I have 3 days off. Like, I've got the best life. Like, it's not where I want to be just yet, but if I look at track record, I'll get there.
It's exactly where you want to be. So in terms of, with all of that in mind, now knowing now that there's a couple of things I want to say to that. Number one is structure governs function. We talk about this in osteopathic terms.
Yeah.
We have a ball and socket joint for the hip. It's 80% covered in articulation surface. And we forego flexibility for stability. We really want stability in our hips. Our shoulder, however, has 1/3 of an articulation surface, and we substitute flexibility or stability for flexibility. We want to be able to move our arm quite a lot. Businesses are like that. You can have a very nimble business that's all in your head, but you're not going to have a lot of structure. You're not going to have a lot of stability in that. If you want your business to grow, you have to create that. And often if you're a big picture thinker that you are, and you see 5 years vision and go, yep, that's where I'm going. Today, oh God, I've got no idea. And that was the big thing that we were doing, was actually getting you to know these are the action steps, because you're right. We resist the crappy, boring stuff that we don't want to do. And if we have blind spots and beliefs around money or around whatever stories we tell ourselves, then we're not going to take the action towards putting that structure in place.
Yeah, correct.
So my question for you is, since you've put that structure in place, what are your creativity levels like, and what have you done with that since?
I sent you a message, I think, a couple of months ago, and I said, I like the content that's in my head at the moment. Because for me, I was clouded by all the stress. So clouded that that's all I could think of. And I was just miserable, right? And I couldn't grow. So now I wake up in the morning and then everything's in place, everything's functioning, right? So now my headspace, okay, cool. Now I can have my days off like today and get creative and plan for the week and have that time to reset and gear up for the next week. I was flying in from week to week, not knowing what was happening. And that is instability.
Yeah.
There's no structure or instability at all. So in terms of a creativity perspective, like for someone, I'm not that creative, but where my mind has allowed me to go, because I put myself in a really good state of mind, where I've got balance in terms of my training, I've got balance in terms of me time, I've got balance in terms of family time, which means I always have time for me. I've been able to create a affiliation program between, I haven't told you this yet, right? I've created an affiliation program with all my local PTs, right? Where I've created a service for them and myself. And now I think I've actually kind of hit something huge, because I've just gained about 65 clients in 23 days.
Nice.
Right? And so because I can think freely now, especially amidst the COVID situation, I'm on top of the world. Like, my headspace is like, now I'm just got idea after idea after idea, and I implemented boards to see behind me there, because that wasn't there. Right?
Nice.
So now I sit there and I just get on my whiteboard and I plan, I can think, I can creative, and I've got a team. So everyone's got jobs, I can delegate, I've got a marketing person, I've got this person. Like, the 80-20 rule works great.
Wow. I think that's what's really powerful about this work, is that, yes, the mindset stuff starts this. It's like small hinges open big doors. Those small hinges of being able to, it is embracing your vulnerability and being okay to not know the outcome, because it is ego that will stop us from doing that. But it's just an armor of, we don't like as adults, and it doesn't matter whether you're a dude, you're a chick, it doesn't matter who you are. People don't like not knowing the answer. And part of it is conditioning from when we were in primary school, that if you didn't know the answer, that was bad, and boom, failure. Whereas if we don't know the answer now, when you have support people around, you can ask. And then as you learn to do that, you can check in and go, yeah, actually, I think I do. This is what lines up with where I should be going. And embracing that vulnerability allows you then this creative space to create affiliate programs. Podcasts is the other thing I know you have created. Do you want to share a little bit of that journey? How did that come?
Yeah, so coming out of, I guess, the corporate space and not dealing with anyone in the health industry, as soon as I was always kind of a big fan of Instagram, because I generated over 1,600 clients in the last 18 months from Instagram itself. So I knew that this was a great way to create relationships. You know, I'm really big on relationships. And when I first started in the industries, I binded to the best in the business straight away. And I thought, why should therapists work apart from each other and have that scarcity mindset? So that's what I did. I literally magnetized myself to the best in the business, and we just created really good bonds. And I used to see so many people like Gary Vee do podcasts and things like that. And I'm like, what a great reach, what a great way. But I thought, you know what? These guys are physios, osteos, chiros. I'm not in their league. I don't want to get questioned and I'm going to feel crap about it. No. You guys do it. I'll have a listen. Maybe I'll be a guest speaker. And then that's when all the mindset stuff really started to come in. That's why I mentioned the mission, vision, values, because that was so cemented in my brain, that thought process only lasted a couple of minutes. Right? I'm like, no, you know what? Yeah, you need a Myo, 100%. Yeah, I'm going to organize everything. Right? So I teamed up with Ben Humphries from Humphries Health. I teamed up with Nathan Bridger, who's which you know as well,
he's a gorgeous
chiropractor from Geelong. And you know what? We've been able to form this podcast called HBI, which is Health, Business and In Between. And this is where I'm so confident talking in them, because all the learnings that I've had, and if you hear these podcasts, you're like, yeah, he learned that here, he learned that there, he learned that. Right?
See, Mina, this is the purpose of it. The purpose is not that James and I have some, secret magic sauce. Well, I mean, we kind of do. But our invitation to everyone who works with us is take that stuff and share it with the world.
Yeah.
It's not life better or worse from learning.
And that's something you come to learn, because at the start, I didn't know, like, am I allowed to share what I've learned?
Yes.
Right? But at the start, right? Because I'm like, okay, well, this is their stuff that they've copyrighted. Am I allowed to share this? I'll keep it quiet, right? But if you don't ask, you don't know. And then you're led to assume, and then you make mistakes. So I think another piece of advice for people is, don't come into this program expecting everything, unless you're prepared to do everything.
It's true.
Right? It took me 3 months. That's okay, I guess, to warm up. But it took me 3 months, and I said, no, okay, I need to get into gear, because I'm wasting these people's time, right? And mine, if I don't let's see what they've got. And if I can say, put my hand on my heart and say, I've done everything you want me to do, Leash, and it hasn't worked, then it is what it is. But I can't say that unless I've done everything. Yeah. And every single time I've implemented the smallest of things, it's made the biggest of differences. So if you're not prepared to do the work, don't complain, basically. And I thought, and I'll be honest, right, and this is a big thing for a lot of people, and a lot of people thought this as well, if you want the help, you've got to ask for it. I thought I was kind of somewhat paying for like a coach where they're on your back the whole time. That's what I thought initially. That's what I thought business coaching was, right? But that wasn't the case, right? You get taught that this is your journey, not Alicia and James' journey. Yeah. And here are the tools you either want to pick up and learn, and then we'll teach you, or just do nothing and stay where you are. How's that working for you?
Correct. Which is our version of, and this is how we do it here. Yeah. Because we do have a process of reaching out to people especially if we haven't heard from them, to go, how are they doing, and checking in. And what I know about this work, and now having worked with hundreds of therapists in this program, is that there is always a point where someone eventually gets it. And there's no statistics of who that person is and what it takes. Sometimes people jump in and they're like, wow, this is amazing. They love it. They just get on board and they're awesome. Sometimes it takes time. We know that our job is to be there so that they know that they're supported 100% of the way. And when they're ready, we are going to be there in open arms. And yes, there is always a level of testing. Again, it doesn't matter who steps into the program. Like, really? Because we all hear of coaches that do a really bad job. The coaching industry is just like the massage industry. It's unregulated and full of a bunch of dodgy people. The most important thing for us is the results. Number one, we won't teach anything that we haven't modeled first, which is how we know it works. Because if we're asking you to collect data every week and submit your numbers and steps, I can guarantee we do it too. If we were asking you to open 10 bank accounts and set it up and do an audit of your finances, I promise you we've done it as well. And it's worked really well, and we've paid off debt and we've, saved money, etc. If we're asking you to break through your limiting beliefs, then we can't sit around going, oh yeah, we're all right, we don't need that shit. No, we have to be in a position where we are also being vulnerable and opening up. And I think that's what's really important, is that whenever you choose to work with a coach, is to know, number one, are they walking their talk? And number two, will they authentically support you 100% of the way? And that's what we want. That's our aim, because we know that the more supported you are through that process, the greater the impact you're going to make in the world.
Correct. And that's been it. And it's you need to be accountable for yourself. And that's the biggest thing. It's a lot easier to pay for someone to hold you accountable, but what I'm trying to say is that's not sustainable.
Correct.
All right, because obviously we're not going to be with you for the rest of our lives, and that we want to, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we need to kind of leave the nest and do our thing. Learn what you need to learn for about 2 to 5 years, I think, right?
Yeah.
Unless you've got everything down pat and you've reached your goals. But even then, you'll help us reach the next one.
Yep.
So you got to want it. That's I think for me, once you can kind of make sure that this is actually really what you want, the more you ask, the more you'll get.
Yeah.
And if you kind of follow that, you won't waste the 3-4 months that I did. Like, if I could say to myself, like, I remember, and you made us write a letter to ourselves, and you sent it to me, and I thought, you know what, I'm not ready to open that letter yet. Right? And I left it and I forgot about it. And then when we had our retreat, that was the perfect timing. Unknowingly, I put it in the folder that we were going to work from, and I actually completely forgot about it. And when I opened it, I looked at that letter, which I think was in Jan. I was just like, I'm this amount of debt. I wish I could make just $2.5 grand a week. I'll be happy if I have $10,000 in the account. Make sure you get out of your debt and all this sort of stuff. And I was like, man, that was like quadrupled, like since then. Like, so it was the mental journey is, I didn't think, I'll be honest, that's something I would have been celebrating. Money's great, and you know me, I love money, right?
Yeah, and rock on.
You need money, right?
Yeah.
But I didn't think that that's the mindset stuff I'd be most proud of, and that's kind of been able to deal with me in my own head. How long limiting beliefs can last for, how quick you can get rid of them and just continue to do the things you do bigger and better. That is the journey everyone talks about. It's that. And that lasts. It lasts a lot.
That's the purpose. I think that you can learn, you can do an Instagram course, you can do a Facebook course, you can learn marketing, which is great. However, when you know you can't unlearn that stuff.
That's what I mean. Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Yeah, you can't unlearn that. And it will be with you forever. That one day when you do graduate from us, and as we trust that people will, because we have to leave the nest at some point. However, you have learnt those lifelong skills that will always be with you whenever you get off track. Am I on track with my mission, vision, and values? Oh, no, right. When you get off track, have I been doing steps to success? No. Okay. Have I looked at my numbers? No. And it's like, you just know the things that keep you on track because you've shown up and literally forged neural pathways that makes all of these things normal now. You know, if you find that you're living in chaos again, you'd look at your board and go, why has it been 4 weeks since I looked at this? Right. How come why am I not having Fridays off anymore? You know, like you know how to reset and how to recalibrate. And so then you can look for what are some strategies that actually work for you in order to do it.
Correct.
Mina, thank you so much for your sharing of your journey. Thank you for your open-heartedness and your willing to go to places that you were resistant to in the past. But also, it is an absolute honor to hear your story and hear how proud you are of you and the incredible relationship that you've created with yourself and the impact that you are continuing to make in your community, with your therapists, in your family, with your clients that you're serving each and every week. It's an absolute honor to hear this. Thank you so much.
No, thank you guys for being there. And kind of, it's been good for you guys to kind of like, you know what, you know, he'll never get it. But you guys kind of like persisted, but in a really intricate way, you know, and it kind of made us realize like, hold on. Okay, it's done. So thank you guys for that approach more than anything, because I think you can see it, we can't. We can't believe it, but you've seen it, right? So it's like, who do you trust? I trust me, you know, or trust them. And then kind of once you break through that, it's just breakthrough after breakthrough after breakthrough. And I tell you, nothing bad ever happens since. It just gets better. So no, thank you guys for that, and the community you built, the way you structured it. Well done.
Thank you. It's an absolute pleasure. It's awesome having you on board.
How cool is that? Mina is an absolute gun, as I know that you've heard. Now, if what you've been listening to today has really resonated with you, and there's something in there that you're like, you know what, I know that this is where I'm at. I know that's where I want to go. I want to be doing this kind of stuff. I want to be able to see really great results and really great, incredible impacts happening in my life. Then I really want to encourage you to get in touch. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to be able to help you and help take you on the journey of you learning how to create such an incredible business.